Welcome everyone into the Big Blue for You podcast. This is an instant insight recapping the Kentucky win over Eastern Kentucky University. They won 28-17. We'll get more into this, but if you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And with that, let's get right in. As I stated earlier, Kentucky was able to pull off a win over the Eastern Kentucky Colonels, 28-17, in what was a very unimpressive and frankly concerning game. Kentucky really struggled in this game. I mean, it's not like they played. First of all, they didn't play a complete game at all. And second of all, they didn't even play like a complete half. It's not like they really struggled in the first half, and then they played really great in the second half. I mean, offensively, they were terrible in the first half. Defensively, they were good in the first half. And then the second half, the offense was great, but the defense struggled. And that's just, they didn't even play a complete half of football. Again, they barely were able to beat a really terrible Eastern Kentucky team. And this definitely has some cause for concern. But for right now, I want to start off with the good. So the good, well, a win is a win. So, I'd rather win ugly and win terribly than lose and look pretty. So a win is a win. Kentucky was able to win. So bottom line, that is good. The other good, really the only other good in my opinion, was Tavion Robinson. He had a big touchdown catch at the end of the first half to tie the game. The fact that we had to score with less than a minute in the first half to tie the game against Eastern is seriously a problem. But Tavion Robinson, all in all, had a good day. He had 2 touchdown catches, and all in all, he looked really good. He had a big run as well. Again, not a good day for Kentucky. Tavion Robinson had 1 carry for 56 yards on an end around. It was a big play for him. And he had 5 targets, 5 catches, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was really the only receiver that I felt like played really well. Barry and Brown had a solid game as well. He had a couple end arounds. He had 2 carries for 34 yards, also had 6 catches, 51 yards, and a touchdown. So really that's all I can say about the good. I think everything else was pretty terrible, so let's get right into the terrible. You won by 11 as a 35-point favorite against a team that lost last week 66-13 against Cincinnati, and this is not a good Cincinnati team, okay? Cincinnati is really bad, and they steamrolled EKU. Now, I understand that when you're the University of Kentucky and you play EKU, you're going to get their best shot, and it's going to be, a tougher game than on paper it should be. But to only win by 11 points at home with a sellout crowd, just unacceptable. I mean, it was absolutely unacceptable. As far as the bad goes, again, the first half was terrible. Kentucky could not run the ball very well today. The numbers as a team, it looks okay, but really, most of that came off of jet sweeps. Tavion Robinson had 1 carry for 56 yards, right? So as a team, they ran for 171 yards. But that really doesn't tell the story because you had, again, a couple jet sweeps that picked you up 100 yards. So, I understand that that's getting a little... Hello, Benny. I understand that... Okay, Benny, let's not show that on camera. That's a little vulgar. But I understand that is going to help your numbers look better. But realistically, this team they played terribly. They couldn't run the ball. The offensive line, I thought they protected Devin Leary pretty well, which is a good sign. But they could not open up running lanes against an FCS opponent. Let me say that again. They could not open up running lanes for Ray Davis against an FCS opponent. If that's not cause for concern, then I don't know what is cause for concern. Also, as far as the cause for concern goes, the defense once again was awful on 3rd down. They allowed EKU to go 6 of 12 on 3rd down, which is it's terrible. It just can't happen. That cannot happen against an FCS opponent. Really, it can't happen against any opponent. But in particular, that cannot happen against an FCS opponent. They had a block punt. I'd love to tell you special teams was great, but frankly, it wasn't. They had a block punt in the first quarter, which was not the punter's fault. This dude literally just didn't block. I mean, it was awful. This, again, we're adding to the bad. This is like, the John Wooden pyramid of success. We have the Kentucky versus EKU pyramid of terrible. It was awful, and I hate to be so negative. I feel like I'm being super negative, but let me know down in the comments. Am I being too negative? Am I too negative about this game? I mean, is it just one game, right? Like on this edition of Instant Insight after Kentucky beats EKU 28-17. Am I being too negative? And also, I guess the last question would be, what does this mean for the future of the season? Realistically, the SEC is down. Like right now, as I record this, we're going to find out more here in a little bit about how down the SEC is. Alabama is currently down at the half, 13-6 at home against Texas. That's not a good look for the conference. I do think the SEC is definitely down. I think your traditional powers are not as good as they usually are. Georgia's still very good. Again, Alabama's got to have to prove themselves. You play them later in the year. Tennessee had some struggles with Austin Peay, but I think they ultimately ended up pulling away and didn't really matter. Tennessee is definitely very good. But if you're looking at what does this mean for the future of the season as a whole, you can't let one game beat you over and over and over again. You can't let one loss turn into two and then three and then so on and so forth. And you can't let a bad win turn into a loss next week against Akron. They have to find a way to establish a run, and they need to move quicker. The offense is moving really slow. I feel like I'm watching a Rich Scangarello offense again. It's like they're moving at a snail's pace. And it's very frustrating because we have good athletes on the outside. We have good weapons. And I think that this would really help you if you played faster, if you went more up-tempo from time to time, putting a college twist on this pro-style offense that Kentucky is running. I think that would probably help them move the ball down the field a lot easier and get easier opportunities to score. If you can steal a possession a game and steal a score a game by just simply going up-tempo here and there, that is more than worth it, and that is more than necessary in that case. I guess other questions that we would have would be, one, is this team good? I don't know. I don't know what to think after this game. Two, how good is Devin Leary? Now, Devin Leary really struggled in the first half. He played much better in the second half. The offense as a whole did. I do have some concerns with Devin Leary, though. And it's not that I don't think that he is a good quarterback. I think that he is a good quarterback. I mean, the guy threw for 4 touchdowns and 1 interception, and that was on a ball where he got sacked. The ball popped up in the air. It is what it is, and that's, again, that just can't happen, but it did. He threw 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. I mean, that on paper looks really good. I think he is a good quarterback, but I worry that with this pro-style offense, for those who don't really know, I'll kind of explain this in layman's terms. When you run a pro-style West Coast offense, which is what Kentucky is running, it really requires you to drive the ball deep down the field. You have to be able to stretch the defense vertically. You're usually looking to attack deep down the field, or you're looking to attack underneath that coverage. So, and look, it's a staple of most NFL offenses. It's been around for decades now. Bill Walsh was really the first one to start doing that with Joe Montana and the 49ers. Aaron Rodgers was in that system for a long time in Green Bay. Brett Favre was in that system in Green Bay for a long time. The Chiefs, they run something very similar as well with the West Coast pro style. Throw it deep or throw it underneath the coverage. I worry that Devin Leary is really good at throwing about 15 yards in it. He has good accuracy. But if he can't drive the ball deep down the field, I am concerned that this could become a problem later in the season. So what does all this mean for the season? Frankly, I don't really know what to tell you. I mean, there's just no answer. I don't know when we'll have an answer. We'll talk more about this probably on the podcast later in the week. Kentucky is 2-0, so that's good. And we'll have to just figure it out as the season goes on, I guess. This game really left a lot of concern out there for sure, but I don't think that all hope is lost or anything like that. I'm not anywhere near that, even though I'm negative about this game. But I just wanted to say this is the Big Blue for you. Instant insight after the Eastern Kentucky win. If you haven't already, like I said, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Unless you disagree with what I'm saying, then smash that dislike button. Tell me I'm an idiot in the comments. Don't be a mindless sheep, people. And I am your host, Luke Emberton, signing off on this edition of the Big Blue for You podcast. Instant insight.